Australia is almost 7,000 miles away from America, but certain things about it will tempt you to stay here more than in America. Hello and welcome to EduTrainX, one of the best online platforms for PTE preparation, where a group of most experienced and qualified tutors help you in each step of success in PTE. I am Nandini Watts, and in this video, I am going to talk about more than 10 interesting things that make Australia a better place to live than America. So, without wasting any time, I'm going to dive right into the facts that make Australia better than America. The first is maintaining a work-life balance. So, Australia has a better work-life balance than the US. According to federal law, Australians earn 4 weeks of paid vacation for every year they work, regardless of how long they have been employed. Now, the average American employee gets approximately 10 days of paid leave after a year of employment. On the other hand, Australians get about 24 days of paid annual leave. Isn't that exciting? So, maternity leave clearly gives the best indication of the differences between the two countries in terms of work-life balance. According to a recent UNICEF report, the US had the worst annual leave policy of all the wealthiest countries. Parents in the United States typically receive 12 weeks of leave per year. Now, the worst part is that time is usually unpaid. Meanwhile, Australians are entitled to maximum of 18 weeks of paid parental leave under federal law. If you are a parent, then you can also extend your parental leave to 1 year with the assurance that when you will return to your job, it will still be there. Now, the extension in this leave, however, is unpaid. Australians enjoy a better work-life balance for many reasons, but these two illustrate just how much better it is than most countries. Now, the next that comes on our list is healthcare, and I want to take some time to discuss this essential factor if you want to live in Australia or America. So, Australia, just like any other first world country, has a universal healthcare system. Now, this is a thing in which America lags behind. If you are in Australia, then you will not have to worry about the expenses and you are not going to avoid the doctor for the medical care you need just because of the medical costs. Now, I'll tell you my story, my experience with my friend. That I have a friend named Suzanne who lives in the US. She had a leg fracture in a car accident last year. So she got all the x-rays and the required tests done, and every time any of the tests were conducted, it cost her several $100s. So after examining her condition, the doctors had to implant an iron rod in the leg as it was badly hurt. So even after getting all the things done and spending a total of around thousands of dollars on the treatment, she was still not able to walk properly. And at the end of the day, she had to decide to do the physiotherapy at the home by herself because she has 2 children to look after and she didn't want to spend more money in this thing. Now, it was not so that she came from a very low income family or any such thing like that. So she and her husband earned quite a good money and she had a medical insurance also. But even after all of this, she gave up at the end. So you can imagine it is that costly in America. Now, you'll be surprised to know that one of the main reasons for people going bankrupt in America is medical bills. Now, you can imagine how terrible it is, means getting financially ruined from something over which you have no control at all. But despite American healthcare spending about 19% of GDP and Australian healthcare spending approximately 10% of GDP, the results and outcomes of healthcare in Australia are far better than those in the United States. Now, I'll have to cut the topic here or else I can go on and on over this one. Now, the next comes social security. Australia's social security system is so well defined and structured that high-level discussions had taken place about how to reform the US social security system based on what Australia has learned. So you can imagine it is that safe in Australia. Social security benefits are the main source of income for most Americans in their old age rather than savings. So because of the way the system is structured, even old people who are capable of taking care of themselves without assistance end up receiving benefits. Now what happens? The Australian social security system combines voluntary savings, superannuation and the age pension funds retirement in Australia. However, the Australian system, which is means tested, differs vastly from the American one. Now, you want to know what means tested is? So means testing means it is a system where only beneficiaries whose income does not meet a certain threshold receive benefits. So benefits are reduced or eliminated for those earning more than the predetermined threshold. So Australians have also saved more for old age due to the mandatory superannuation guarantee program, which has allowed them to live a more comfortable life than Americans. Employers here must contribute 9 to 9.5% of their workers' earnings towards superannuation for employees between 18 and 70. So if you're a permanent resident of Australia, then your life is all set. Now, then comes the lifestyle. It is said that the Australians are more patient than the Americans, who value time more than anything else. So Australia is very open to accepting other lifestyles, or you can say alternative lifestyles, or anything that's like the status quo, like the typical. Australia is very open to accepting other lifestyle. Here it is nothing like doing a typical thing that everything should go through a certain status of living. In Australia, it's nothing like that. So I just feel that you can be yourself without getting judged, unlike America. In America, there is a lot of expectations that people have to live up to. Now the next is rate of crime. Talking of rate of crime, then compared to the United States, Australia has a much lower crime rate. As a result of this low crime rate, police officers in Australia aren't even required to carry guns. Batons are the only weapons carried by them, and you will be surprised to know that there will be days of television coverage if a gun is used to kill. It is that safe in Australia. Then comes transportation. So I would say that in terms of transportation, Australia is better than America. Want to know why? See, in Australia, you can go wherever you want, any city, any suburb, between any cities, you can go just with the help of public transport. Not only this, but their public transport is fast, clean, and will leave you having a very pleasant experience. And the same thing cannot be said about the public transport in America. Maybe if you will live in big cities like Chicago, San Francisco, LA, or any other cities, then you can have a decent public transport system. However, still there are places that are hard to go to. Then comes response from the government. So putting Australia first is Australia's priority. There might be times when the Australian government makes decisions that will upset other countries, but in the end, their job number one is to protect the Australian people. On the other hand, governments in the United States tend to be more concerned what other countries' problems are than their own, making people annoyed and worried about their own country's problems. So, Australian government seems more accountable and transparent. So, despite a little corruption, this ought to be there. So whenever a budget is not approved, then a new government is elected in Australia. Now, this is one of the aspects to be considered because in Australia, the wages on an average is much better than America. And now I'm not talking about the salaries of the doctors and the lawyers, but if you have an average to lower salary, then you will probably be gonna paid much better in Australia. So in Australia, the average hourly wage is $17, whereas in America, it can be as low as $5.15. So if anyone is working in America with a graduate degree, then he or she is going to get 1.5 times more salary in Australia. Next one on our list is unawareness. So it is well known that Australia has developed its entire country, including its cities. In contrast, in the USA, the extravagance of Las Vegas overshadows the poverty of the deserts of Nevada and Arizona. The biggest cities in the US, such as Las Vegas, New York, Washington DC, and Los Angeles, are located in the same country as the poorest of the poor in the desert, exhibiting a high regional disparity. Now, then there is stunning natural beauty. A lot of Australia's natural beauty is untouched, perfect for escaping the monotony of daily life. So there are many places of beauty and exquisiteness in Australia, such as Great Barrier Reef, Rainbow Lake, Shark Bay, Blue Mountains, Pinnacles Desert, and so on. In contrast, everything one sees in the United States resembles a concrete jungle. And the last but not the least, an improved education system. The Australian education system produces better results for students in all subjects and categories. The reason is that the teacher training and the subject material is of a higher standard. According to reports, Sydney has one of the highest passing rates and results in the world, which is not in the case of the US. Now, whatever points I have mentioned about America don't make it a bad place. So after all, everyone, everything and every place has a good side and a bad side. Talking of Australia, the place is lovely, not just from the perspective of education, but also from the point of leading a happy, fulfilling life. In Australia, you can learn from the best teachers, get a good job, have a beautiful and safe environment, have access to a beautiful infrastructure, and be governed responsibly. Now, what is your need to achieve a lasting happiness and health? So, if you like the video, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more informational content like this. Thank you.